everyone. My name's Nikki and I'm a nutritionist on Alyssa's team. Our goal as nutritionists is to help people live in a healthier body by implementing customized nutrition plans into their personal health and wellness routine. Today, I'll be interviewing a client who has gone through the process of learning how nutrition impacts their body's natural ability to heal and repair. Please note, everyone lives in a unique body and results in nutritional protocol varies in every person. These interviews are to show how diet and lifestyle has impacted some of our clients' overall health. Our goal is to inspire you as you learn how to support your body's natural ability to heal, repair, and detoxify. Okay. Hello, we're here with Donna. Donna was a client that worked with Alyssa and I, and she's here to share our story with us. Hi, Donna. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Nikki.
We're so excited to hear the results that you've had. So I'm going to get started with our first question. So why did you decide to start working with Alyssa, and what results were you looking for?
I decided to work with Alyssa. First of all, I had a cancer diagnosis 12 years ago. And so about a year ago, I had a reoccurrence of my breast cancer. And as soon as I was diagnosed, it's interesting, was thinking back to my previous diagnosis and sort of the support team that I pulled in. But one thing that I was missing that first time was some really strong nutritional support. And I had met Nikki like professionally and heard her speak many times, and specifically on women and hormones and nutrition and lifestyle.
Sorry to interrupt. You said Nikki when I think you meant to say
Oh, sorry,
Alyssa.
sorry, I meant to say Alyssa, and I apologize for that, I guess because I've seen Alyssa, Nikki right in front of me. Okay, so Alyssa, so sorry about that. So I and about a year prior to that, my sister had cancer. And one of the first things I said to her is that you should reach out to Alyssa because I know that she has a strong background in oncology and nutrition and lifestyle. So she did. She had great results, which I knew. Out to Alyssa, it was to get that support that I felt I needed, kind of like a missing piece, or one piece of the puzzle. And with that, after a lengthy sort of, I wouldn't say a lengthy, but a very in-depth intake, which I really found um, interesting and very good. Like the intake form that I had to fill out was so much more than just nutrition. I felt like I could see the whole picture, that Alyssa was trying to get the entire picture, not just what did you eat today. It was like the entire picture of my lifestyle, things that I was already doing, mindset, stress relief, exercise, medication, all these sorts of things. So that when we had our first like meeting, and there was this really strong picture already that was happening and on my background. And so I guess what I was expecting is nutritional tips to help support me as I went through my cancer journey and through the different stages of treatment, because I did choose to do conventional treatment along with nutrition and other lifestyle things. So it was more complementary that I was working with. So um, what I found is that as time went on, and I had many complications during my treatment and lots of different up and downs. And I went through chemotherapy, radiation, and multiple surgeries, things like that. Um, my nutrition and things like that had to change based on the side effects I was having or what my body needed for support. So the continual staying in touch with Alyssa to make different choices and changes as we went along. So even if I think of food tolerances, if you just want to think of nutrition, food intolerances, as I was going through treatment, there were certain things I could not eat, but I needed that nutrition. So Alyssa, had something alternative for me to try. And I think that that's what was so important for me the entire journey, because as I went through things changed. So it wasn't just about supplements. She did occasionally have suggestions for different supplements that would help complementary based on what I was going through. And like I said, that changed as needed. But it was about everything, about the whole lifestyle factor and how well I was sleeping and what would maybe help me, with my rest and my sleeping as well, because those sorts of patterns change going through treatment as well. Um, so yeah, I think that's kind of gives an idea of that to answer that question.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what you mentioned about how, she doesn't just cover nutrition. It's more of an all-encompassing, a more holistic kind of overview of everything, not just simply, like you said, what did you eat yesterday? Because at the end of the day, what we know is that there's a lot more to not just cancer, any chronic disease, any weight issues, any health issues. There is more to it than simply what you're eating. Your stress, your other lifestyle factors like, exercise, um, like your overall wellness, your reducing techniques, everything plays a role into your overall health. Like there is nothing in isolation, everything works together.
Right.
So yeah, you touched on it perfectly.
And one thing I did want to mention is that throughout my treatment, Alyssa, she would take a look at things, like she would look at my blood work. Like anytime I had any test results, I would send them in. Alyssa would take a look at that, make an assessment, make any adjustment that might need to be made. And she also had different things that she would say, maybe ask your oncologist about this. I also worked with a naturopath who specialized in oncology. So what I found is that it was so complementary, the naturopathic, approach with Alyssa, and being able to say to one, and they would say, okay, we'll talk to your nutritionist. And
Mhm.
Alyssa would say, this is what I would suggest. Just double check with your naturopath on what he is doing with you, see how that complements and works. So I found that really good because I really felt well supported in, entirety.
Yeah,
So
yeah, like you weren't putting all of your eggs in one basket. You had
mhm,
these different modalities to help you get the best treatment that you can get.
absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So now, the next question would be, what results did you obtain?
Okay. Well, it's interesting because I think as I was actively going through chemotherapy, what I found is that, like, day to day, or if you want to say minute to minute or whatever it was, I had some strategies in place to help cope, whether it was just the mindset and things like that, as well as different nutrition things. What maybe worked one day wasn't going to work well the next day.
Mhm.
Um, and so I had that background, like I had sort of a nutrition plan, but it wasn't such a strict plan. If I want to just think of the nutrition, it was lots of different suggestions, so I could refer back to that and go, okay, well, I'll try this and I'll try that. That works today. Maybe the next round of treatment it didn't work so well. So that was great. And then as I was preparing for surgery, there was a quick turnaround from my chemotherapy to my surgery. We had to do a bit of a quick change as to, okay, now we have to quickly get you ready for surgery. And then as I came out of surgery, things needed to change, like, protein intake. If you want to think of nutrition, protein intake had to go up, and all these different things. And so the results were, like, I feel like I really bounced back from everything that happened. And I did have, some abnormal complications during surgery that made me have to have another surgery a few weeks later, where I couldn't eat or drink for 2 weeks solid in the hospital. And I came out of that super depleted. But I emailed Alyssa while I was sitting in the hospital bed. And I was like, this is what's happening when I leave here and I'm allowed to eat and drink again. And I'm going to need some serious help. And um, I really felt like I bounced back so much quicker from everything. And keep in mind, this isn't the first time I went through it. And I know how it felt that first time when I was not supported in nutrition and lifestyle and everything. And I almost felt normal. Like I'd have these dips. Of course, going through treatment is not, there's a lot, like it's not great, but I would have these dips and I'd bounce back normal, and I'd like normal, boom, and I'd go down and up. And sometimes I would forget that, well, many times I forgot that I had cancer and I was supposed to be sick. So when I go in to see my doctors and the oncologist, they would always be shocked how well I was doing. I'm not kidding. Every time they'd go, what is going on here? And I wanted to say that friends and family noticed a difference. People that didn't see me every single day, but maybe see me once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month, you know, they were shocked at how well I did through this. And I know deep in my heart that Alyssa had a massive impact. Her suggestions, her programs, everything had a massive impact on that. And I strongly believe that, our lifestyle factors have such a huge component to this. So, anyways, I guess those are the results. Like, I bounced back very quickly. And after my second time in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and like I said, nothing to eat or drink at all for 2 weeks, and then starting to get back on, I had to be very careful. But I want to say that 10 days, was it 10 days or maybe 12 days after surgery, I was in another province and I went on a 10-kilometer bike ride with my husband. Now, no hills, and we went slow, but I was underweight, but I was not malnutrition at that point. That was the thing. Like, I had lost a lot of weight, but I kept my nutrition up all the way through leading up to that 2 week stint in hospital. And then after getting out of the hospital, I was back on a nutrition plan and I had the nutrition to do stuff like that. And that just blew me away. And honestly, like, it was like a teary moment for both my husband and I, that we could actually participate in life after the craziness that had just happened.
Mhm,
So, for sure, Alyssa's suggestions and her help as I went through made a massive difference.
mhm. That's insane that you were did a 10K bike ride in another province
Yes.
12 days after you had surgery?
After I left the hospital,
After you left the
after I left the
hospital.
hospital, because I was 2 weeks without food in that hospital after that surgery. But, like, food or drink, let's just put that, food or drink,
Yeah,
nothing by mouth.
of course,
So,
and that was such an important part because you were so prepared going into it, so that's probably the big difference between the last time it happened and this time is you've already been through it, so you kind of already had that knowing of what I did last time wasn't in wasn't the best I could have done. So now you had that kind of knowledge and that experience of how do I make it better this time? And it was, priming your body, like getting it ready and giving it what it needs to function as well as it possibly can under the circumstances, which is exactly what you did, which is why you bounced back. You had these little dips and you were back. And like you said, your doctors were so surprised by how well you were doing.
yes.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
Kilometer bike ride. I can't get over that. Okay. So, our next question is what did you learn having a customized nutrition plan and the education that comes from the support?
Um, that customized plan, like, it really did help, like, going through that and giving me an idea of how I really needed to balance my nutrition a bit more through the day. So I've always been interested in nutrition and felt like I had a fairly strong, doing things right sort of attitude with my nutrition over the last couple of years. But what I really found is that it really helped tweak, like, am I getting enough protein through the day and at the right times? And what I found out is that I was kind of undernourishing myself in some ways, in some areas. So that plan, and that visual of looking at it just kind of kept me on track. Like, I refer to it, and I still pull that out, even though treatment ended, about 6 months ago. I still pull out that plan and look at it just to see, oh yeah, that's a great tip. That's a great tip. That's a great tip. The other thing that Alyssa really impressed upon me was the importance of planning ahead for different things. So, if you want to just think of the nutrition component, is that when would I feel well enough, if I'm thinking through treatment, that I could prep out some snacks and certain things to get me through? Or who could I call upon in my support team, as in friends or family, that could provide some things if I gave them a specific job? Could you make me these energy balls? I had somebody that specifically made me bone broth because I could not handle that happening in my house when I was going through treatment. So the planning ahead is something that I really learned, and it really impressed upon me. That is something that I need to continue, and it's what I still like to do. So, batch cooking certain things like my bone broth or my juicing, I'll batch it and freeze it so I can just pull that out as needed. So I think it was just that holistic approach to it, but the planning ahead was a huge thing, and like I said, it's something I still do.
Mhm. And it's such an important, like, no matter what is going on in your life, whether you're going through a cancer treatment, dealing with another chronic disease, or if you're even just in general, it's, I just want to be healthier. Planning ahead is one of the most important steps. And especially, like you said, when you're going through treatment, because you've been through it before, that there's ups and downs with it. That there's going to be days that you're not going to be able to, take the best care of yourself that you can because you don't have the energy for it. And like you said, asking people to make you energy balls and make your bone broth. Another, just the importance of asking for help too is a really strong component of kind of the overall health and wellness, because at the end of the day, like, none of us can do everything by ourselves. We need that help. We need that
Right.
support. We need that community.
Right.
So amazing. Um,
Mhm.
okay, so the next question is, what advice do you have for anyone navigating a health challenge when it comes to their nutrition?
Reach out, reach out and get help. Um, I think when we go through anybody that's going through a health crisis, and even if it's not like a health crisis, it's just like the day to day craziness of life. We think that sometimes we should be able to just figure it all out, just go online, check it out, or that part doesn't matter, or I'll just power through. But reach out and like seek somebody with knowledge. So Alyssa, I was lucky enough that I had previously met her, but I felt very confident in her knowledge and her background, her credentials. Um, and so I think it's super important to reach out to get some help. And I think sometimes what we think about is like, well, if I reach out, I might have to put out just a little bit of money. Do I want to put out a little bit of money? And I'm talking, and what I'm saying here is Alyssa services are not expensive by any means. But what I'm saying is that sometimes we think that way, but we forget how we backpedal and we spend more time spinning our wheels and maybe, like, if you want to think of nutrition, running around and buying 15 different supplements because we heard that might give us more energy or that might boost our chance of survival for cancer. And we've kind of wasted all this time and money and energy out there instead of focusing in, getting some solid advice from a knowledgeable person that's going to be very specific to you. It's just like it removes this stress, this weight off of our shoulders. So it's just so well worth seeking out somebody like Alyssa.
Mhm. That's so important. Yeah, like reaching out because, and like you said, people think that it's the answer is taking all these different supplements that might give you more energy and looking things up online, when at the end of the day, that might not be relevant. The information they find might not be relevant to their
Right.
situation because they may not fully understand the effect of their situation, which is why it's important. Alyssa is the most knowledgeable person about nutrition I've ever met in my life, and I'm so grateful to be working with her.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I threw Alyssa a few curveballs. She did say to me that, hmm, some of these side effects that I had, or I shouldn't say side effects, or challenges that I had, really, like, I really felt confident when I threw this at her, even if it wasn't something she dealt with on a regular basis. She'd be like, I'll figure this out for you. Don't worry. And she did.
Yes.
So
Yes, she is so good at figuring out challenges.
yes, which is so important. And the other thing is that, like, even if I think of the cancer realm, like, there's so many different types of cancer, so many stages. We're going through all sorts of different things. And having someone that can say, okay, for you specifically, this is what we need to focus on.
Mhm.
That's super helpful.
And that's so important because, you having had breast cancer versus somebody else going through maybe pancreatic cancer, you're
Right.
not going to have the exact, like, you won't be given the exact same advice because they're not going to be identical. Some of the advice will be the same, of course, but there will be different approaches based on, different types of cancers, different types of disease in general. So that's why it's so important to have that customized, that personalized approach.
Right.
Mhm. Okay, amazing. So, last question is, why would you recommend Alyssa to anyone looking for nutritional support?
Um, there's so many different reasons. First of all, her background and her knowledge would be one thing. Um, she's very personable, easy to relate to. So having a conversation um, was very, very comfortable. Like, it was just a very comfortable conversation and completely non-judgmental.
Mhm.
So that's super appreciated because we all know that, maybe the situations we got in are, whatever potential lifestyle changes that needed to happen in my life, having the guidance and someone just non-judgmental and say, well, helping me through that was super, like, was great. So, yeah, her friendliness, everything like that, but it's her knowledge and her base. And of course, the quick responses that, like, for me, to send an email, if it wasn't Alyssa, it was you, Nikki, that could, answer my questions. But it was that knowledge and that experience and what I gained from it. Like, honestly, here I am feeling amazing. I have got a ton of energy. I still surprise my doctors how well I'm doing. My hair is growing back, all these things. And I know in part it was to do with Alyssa and her advice, her knowledge, the plans she's given me. And as I went through the recovery, I just also want to say that, touching base, it didn't just end as soon as I finished chemotherapy or radiation. It was through the recovery and lifestyle changes moving forward so that I never have to use Alyssa again in the cancer realm. I can, use her for some other things or keep, other, like, share the knowledge that she's given me, I should say. But all these things, you know, is what I would say would lead me to suggest someone else to seek out Alyssa's advice. And that being said, I've recommended many people to see Alyssa that I have met that are going through similar things as me. And I also know that she does not just focus on oncology,
Mhm.
on family nutrition as well. And I think working with somebody who has a knowledgeable base like that and, you know, is so important. Anyways.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, exactly. Everything you said. Like, she's friendly, she's knowledgeable, she doesn't judge you, she would never like put blame on you for anything. It's just simply matter of fact, like, okay, this is what we're dealing with, so this is the next step moving forward.
Yeah, just very real, and I appreciate that, and relatable, very relatable, which
Yes.
I think is super important as well,
Yeah.
because everybody, we all have stuff going on in our lives. She's got a family, I've got a family, like, just relatable.
Yes, so relatable. Absolutely. Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Donna. This has been amazing to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We've loved having you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Nikki.